Okay, so first of all, welcome to the new subscribers that came in. Like, holy smokes, we reached 50 subscribers recently, and I really appreciate it. Did you all eat today? Yeah, some of you. Hopefully you did. You gotta keep your health and nutrition up. Hopefully you all are having a good day today. So So I uploaded the first INFJ traits video just a few weeks before, but when I uploaded the first INFJ traits, I've sort of left off with the nagging feeling that maybe I should have put more in there. I mean, there are definitely some traits that I wanted to share, some content that I wanted to add. So without further ado, here are 4 more traits of the INFJ based on experience that I sort of wanted to add to the list of traits, but I haven't got into that, so I'm gonna do it here. Number 1, the hand gestures thing. I sort of wanted to add on to that. I don't feel like I've gone far enough with this. You will use hand gestures even when you are not talking and you are lost in your train of thought. Your hands will picture out and be in sync with the erratic rhythm of your own thought processes. And this is all okay when you're in a room to yourself, but just be careful when you are outdoors and you don't get lost in your head again. Like, oh my goodness, God forbid you are sitting on a park bench or some public area where there's absolutely no context as to why you're using hand gestures while thinking. I remember this one time I was strolling down a sidewalk and I did that, and someone came up to me asking for directions, but he was using sign language, and that was already kind of a situation. I felt bad that I had to somehow gesture that I didn't know how to sign language, so... Number 2, INFJs have this reputation of being like Mariana Trench levels of deep conversationalists, and you know what? Let me add on to that. So most of that comes from the fact that we are generally insane listeners, but when I was ruminating about it, I was like, damn, sometimes we take it a little bit too far. Let me explain myself. When we listen to the person speaking, we don't just listen to what the person says, we listen to how the person is saying it. We listen to the context of why they say it. We make educated guesses on what their life was like and the implied critical decision that led them to the moment where they sat in front of us and said it. And upon reflecting on the conversation, we try to figure out the underlying cultural shift implied in why they say what they say so casually. It's like, let me listen to you about your day, but let me involve the entirety of the collective unconscious and the solar system while we're at it. This is kind of a tangent, but I remember taking AP English Language and Composition, and the teacher was telling us about the levels of analysis in reviewing an excerpt. You got what the text is about, you got what the author is trying to portray, and then you got cultural commentary behind why the author portrays it. But then basically the teacher was like, for the course of this class, fuck these first two. We're going down to the nitty-gritty. We're jumping in the deep end of the pool straight away. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm up for it, but I can't swim. Number 3, you can never be assertive about where you stand between two highly valid but polar opposite perspectives. In a group situation, you really just tend to pick one based on what makes sense at the moment or what pisses off the least amount of people. Now that's all well and true, but there's just this underlying tension that I feel when I utter that statement alone. Let me explain that. It's not like INFJs are always indecisive. We are decisive when we want to be. We make decisions unconsciously. It's just that thought of deciding between quote-unquote two polar opposite perspectives. It's just very difficult for us to see two different ideas as separate ideas. We always have a tendency to connect those ideas and then come up with new ideas based on that connection. So a more accurate problem is like, how will people respond to our more novel idea because it's too different from what people are used to? Like, when you look at a yin-yang symbol, yeah, you see the polar contrast, but the two elements are always part of the same insignia. Much in the same way, we don't see polar opposite choices as two separate things. It's more like they connect somehow. Let's bring up a classic example. Do you see the glass half empty or half full? And it's kind of a cute question. I mean, people want to know if you're an optimist or a pessimist. People answer it all the time, but then we hijack that train of thought and think to ourselves, okay, so these two options connect because the structure of the question is a technical syntax error. You can actually have the glass half empty and half full. So a more pertinent question can be, how much water do you have to fill the cup so that you are satisfied with quenching your thirst? I feel that's a more accurate indicator of how dissatisfied people can be. I mean, we INFJs are always trying to look for our own answers to things. I mean, it gets really annoying sometimes. So then my problem is, what if I want to tell people that I'm a quarter glass full person? Like, will they be like, oh, I never looked at it that way? Or will they be like, oh, what the hell are you talking about? And more often than not, it's the latter. I mean, I understand where people are trying to get at, but essentially it's just a glass of water. Both choices are technically the same thing. And by the way, nobody ever asked if I want to drink the water. I mean, my ass is thirsty over here. You didn't even give me a choice as to how much water I want. What if I want it filled to the brim? What if I don't want any water because I might be properly hydrated? Can you give me the Brita pitcher so that I can fill up the water myself? Also, while I fill up my water, can you give me space to do it alone? Like, why do you have to breathe down my neck over that? And then you'd be like, oh, why are you getting too upset over a glass of water? We're just trying to have a good time and we hope that you're having a good time too. And you're probably right. Let's go on. Number 4, you are focused as hell, but you are so dead set that you are also clumsy as hell. I hear this mentioned a bunch of times, so I'm not going to go too far into it. Now, people who are into typology and all that will jump the gun and say inferior SE. No. For me, I would like to be one of those few who will go against the grain on this one. Your SE is actually okay, but in tandem with the rest of your dominant functions, your SE is actually intense. The problem is that it's super fucking focused on one thing at a time. I would like to believe that this is one of the reasons why we have resting bitch face, because we look so dead set all the time. Like we don't really know how to turn it off. But that's beside the point. Real quick, I want to bring up this example right here. Do you see the object that the red arrow is pointing to? Do you see the red arrow itself? Okay, good. Stick with me here. Do you also see the pole that you're about to walk into? Oh my god, I just saved your life. I think what's happening here is that naturally we are so in our heads all the time, but we have to look like we have somewhere else to be so that, we don't raise any suspicion from anyone. And this is why you hear INFJs say that we bump into things or we hate the feeling of doing chores all the time. For example, I might be so into washing my hands and looking at myself in the mirror and I'm reflecting about stuff, but then the moment I step out of the bathroom, I realize I forgot to flush the toilet for the 222nd time this year. Or I might be looking into the freezer section at Target and then I look through all the different flavors of ice cream and then I realize they ran out of Ben & Jerry's mint chocolate cookie. What the hell is going on over here? I already hate 2021 so far.